Hi, guys. Welcome. This is the first time I've done one of these, so I'll be changing things to make it smoother, like the camera angle and the perspective and the equipment. So just bear with me as I get the technical details worked out. But I'm really excited to work this way and to practice this way. Like I said, it's my first time doing this, so I would like to take a couple of minutes for all of you who are on right at 6 o'clock. Good job. I'm going to try to fill a little bit of space here, maybe 3 or 4 more minutes, so that people will not miss the first part of class. Has anyone heard any good jokes lately? Oh, that's a good one. I hear you. I would like to also welcome my students from Cherokee Creek and the staff from Cherokee Creek. It's really cool that you guys joined, so big ups, go Bears. I just walked in the door from a cross-country practice with those guys, so we might be doing a bunch of leg and hip stretches because we did a big run and played some ultimate frisbee this evening. So again, I'm just sort of filling a little bit of time before we start class proper. This is my cat, Scoop Dunk. She'll be joining us this evening. She finds this whole thing very interesting. So before I start filling your head with all sorts of instructions, let's just pay attention to our breath. I'll give you some more guidelines as we go through class. There's a whole section, an important section of yoga called pranayama, which means breath techniques or breath work. So we'll be getting into some more details about that. But for now, notice where you feel the breath most clearly. If you're breathing through your nose, notice the air passing the rim of your nostrils or inside your nose, or maybe you feel it here on the upper lip area. Maybe you feel the breath more or experience the breath more as it moves in the abdomen or in the chest. For just a moment, instead of trying to change your breath, let your breath breathe itself, but just notice it. See where you feel it happening. In this series of online classes, we'll be doing a lot of different breath techniques. We'll be doing a lot of different yoga poses, and we'll also be doing a lot of different meditation methods. To me, a meditation practice is my favorite thing about a yoga practice, and I like to think of the physical work that we do as getting our body happy and satisfied and calmed down so that when we sit still at the end of class, our body is not calling for our attention. We're trying to make the bones and the joints and the muscles comfortable so that when we sit still, we can sit still comfortably and focus and use our attention without the body needing something. That's the idea anyway. So once again, thank you so much for joining tonight for the very first online Golden Section yoga session. Let's begin. So sit comfortably and close your eyes. And that's one of the most powerful moves that we'll make in our practice, because it shifts our attention from outside the body and outside ourselves to inside. A big part of our brain goes to visual processing. And as soon as we close our eyes, we have a lot more resources to allocate, a lot more brain power to put on our other senses. And as we move through class tonight, the next half an hour or 45 minutes, we're going to keep returning our attention to our sense of touch. And I'll be saying that, I'll be reminding you of it, but also direct yourself. There's no one watching or making sure that you keep your eyes closed, but when it feels comfortable, when you remember it as we're moving through class, close your eyes and pair that action. Eyes closed, focus on the sense of touch. So every time we close our eyes, find something specific, something concrete to place your attention on. We'll be moving, we'll be changing the body, stretching muscles, moving the bones, moving the joints. So we're creating new sensation. But even when we're just sitting still, when we really focus on it, there's a wealth of information coming from the body. So that's the first thing I'd like to do. With our eyes closed, notice where you make contact with the floor. Or if you're sitting on a chair, notice where you make contact with the chair. Put all of your attention into feeling where you're touching the ground and where you're not. And now bring your attention to your skin. See if there are areas where you feel warmer or cooler. See if there are areas where you feel air moving, a breeze across the skin. Pay attention to that outside layer of the body. We're going to be more specific a little later on in class about how we sit. We'll have sort of a checklist for efficient and comfortable seating. But right now, notice if there is any way that you can make your seat more comfortable or sit with less effort. See if there are any muscles or parts of the body that are engaged that you can let go and still stay in the same position. A big part of this class will be me looking for new ways to tell you to relax. I'm going to say that word so much, you'll probably get tired of hearing it. So I'll look for synonyms, analogies, different ways to say, let the muscles go. One of the best images I've learned in learning about yoga is that of the muscles lengthening. Muscles all work the same way. When we switch them on, they get short. When we switch them off, they get long. So anytime you hear me say relax, you can substitute in lengthen. Let all the muscles of the body lengthen. And hand in hand with that is the principle that muscles are for doing and bones are for being. So when we're being, anytime we're just sitting still or standing still or lying down, let the muscles take a break. Let the muscles step back. We'll be changing our posture and the way that we sit and the way that we shape the body. But think of your muscles as pilots. The muscles put the bones into place. And then when the muscular effort is done, we're conscious and intentional about resting, letting the muscles switch off when they're not needed. one of the biggest tenets of this class will be that muscular tension, especially when it's under the radar, muscular tension leads to anxiety and inner tension, subjective tension. And the more that we can let go, the more that we can learn to feel the state of the muscles and release them at will, the more peace and the more happy and the more joy we will find. Okay, so once we're sitting here nice and still, we're going to check in on our breath for just a moment and take a few nice, deep, cleansing breaths to get started. Okay? This one is easy to remember. I think of it as my Walmart breath, because when I'm waiting in line in the store, I get very anxious. It's sort of social claustrophobia. I get nervous about standing near people that I don't know. So when I remind myself to breathe like this, it makes it much easier, much more bearable. Okay? 6-second breathing. It means 6 seconds on the inhale and 6 seconds on the exhale. So I'll count us through the first round, and then we'll do a few rounds just keeping up with it ourselves. Okay? So exhale, breathe out, and then we're going to start a nice slow inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Couple more rounds. 6 seconds coming in, 6 seconds going out. Okay, fantastic. So we'll start to move a little bit here, and we're going to start with some forward folds. And in yoga, these are referred to as cooling postures. And it doesn't really mean the temperature of the body, it's more like the tone of the nervous system. When we stretch out the back of the body, the back of the legs in particular, the heart rate lowers, the blood pressure lowers, and just like you would think, the subjective world, our mood and our emotions become cooler and calmer and clearer. And that's the reason that I realized yoga was for me. That's the reason I've studied it as much as I have. And that's the reason why it's important to me to teach it and pass it on, because I've learned through physical methods to have more peace, to be happy, to be spontaneous. My natural setting is sort of tight and inward and overstuffed. And through physical means, we can let off some pressure and feel more comfortable and easy in our own skin. Okay? So our first move here is to take the left leg out straight. Okay? We want the left leg straight out in front of us. And then with the right leg bent, we're going to cross the right leg over the left. Okay? Just let the right leg be comfortable. It's the left leg where we're working here. Okay? Hands and arms come up, and we're just going to use this lift to straighten our spine, to put space in the back, and then we're going to fold forward right over the left leg. Now you're going to feel it start to stretch real quick, especially my guys that have been running cross country. You're going to feel that pull quickly. When you feel it, instead of pulling away from it, settle into it. Just let the upper body sink down and release. What we want to do in these cooling, calming poses is to allow the upper body to rest. Switch off the neck, the muscles, the back, and just hang down. Use the upper body as weight to lengthen the back of the legs. And then we use that sensation we generated, we're using that pull in the back of the legs as a meditative focus, a physical focus for our meditation. Watch that pulling sensation in the back of the legs, settle into it. Okay? Good. Moving slowly and smoothly between poses. We'll come back up, right? And then switch sides. So right leg is out straight, left knee crosses over. Okay? Same deal here. We're going to take the hands and arms up to lengthen the spine, and then leading from the heart, fold out over the right leg. Lengthening with the upper body as we're coming down, finding that good pulling in the back of the right leg, and then releasing into it. We just make the upper body comfortable so that we can stay here. All we have to do is to settle in and observe that wonderful stretching feeling in the back of the leg. Sometimes at first it doesn't feel calming. It feels intense and close to pain. But after you practice it a little bit, and the way it worked for me is I quickly realized how much these forward folds help me calm down and settle down. And once you associate that pulling feeling with the peace and the space that comes from it, you look forward to that intense feeling. Okay, good. Let's make our way back upright. And now we'll work on the hips a little bit. Okay, this is the bound angle pose. So we want to bring the soles of the feet together, and then we're going to use the hands on the ankles to scoop them in towards the hips. Just a little pull in until you begin to feel the resistance here in the upper legs. Pulling in a little bit. Okay, now sit up nice and tall. Take the lower back and tuck it forward. And I'll be mentioning that several times. We're activating the lower back so that we're not using the muscles of the lower back to hold us up. We're using the muscles of the lower back to press the big vertebra of the lower spine forward, because that's where the weight of the upper body rests. Right down low in the spine. So just above the belt in our back, press forward. And it's an activation. We don't have to push very hard. It's just steady, consistent, holding those lower bones of the spine in place. Okay? Take the crown of the head, reach up for the sky. And now we're going to keep our arms tucked in. So we're not pushing with the elbows. Elbows stay here, and we begin to push down towards the floor with the knees. Just using the head, leg, and hip muscles, push down with the knees. Keep it going. It's not a hard push, but it's consistent. Okay? Now we'll take the hands and interlace them, cap around the toes with the hands. And then once again, we're going to scoot in, sit up nice and tall, and this time we're pulling the knees up and in. So our knees pull in towards our shoulders. We're tall, the knees are pulling in, consistent and steady the whole time we're here. Okay, let the legs relax back to their resting point, and then we're going to stick our hands to the floor. Let the palms of the hands touch the ground, and we're going to pretend like they're stuck. Slide them forward as far as they'll go. Keep the hands in place, and then relax forward. Let the neck release, and the shoulders and the back, and just hang loose. Okay, good. Let's lift it back up. And then we're going to take the legs out wide. Knees straight and a nice wide stance with the legs. Okay? Lower back is tucked in. That helps us avoid this sort of hunch forward, which happens a lot when we bring the legs out, because this is it's intense. It's not always 100% comfortable. So we're upright, our lower back is pressing forward. And when we do these forward folds, we're trying to keep the upper body straight as we come forward. And then we relax the neck and the shoulders and the back into it. Because that helps us, when we're upright, that helps us find the stretch in the legs, and then we settle. All right? So we'll take the hands here in front of us and start to walk it forward. Lower with control, because again, it's an intense stretch, and we don't want to just drop all of our weight when our body is not expecting it. We take it nice and slow, gently relax forward, and then again, just like in other forward folds, the last step is to fully relax. Just let the upper body rest and relax. Okay, good deal. We'll gently use the hands and arms to lift back up. Okay, now let's set up for tabletop pose, and that just means hands and knees, right? We're trying to make the back flat, and we're going to move between two poles. This is the cat-cow pose. So every time we're moving with the breath here, every time we exhale, it's going to be an arch up. The center of the back is the tallest point on that exhale, and then when we inhale, we release the chest and the belly to sink down. We tilt up with the tailbone and lift the crown of the head. So on the inhale, it's a big cup with the spine. On the exhale, it's a big arch up. And again, just let your breath tell you how fast to move. Okay, now we'll make the spine flat. So back to tabletop pose. And now we'll take our first spinal twist. And this is one of my favorite poses in all of yoga. Okay, we're going to take the right hand and flip it up. So the right palm faces up, and it's going to slide through behind the left wrist. So right hand slides through. We're going to pivot so that we can come down to our right shoulder and the right side of the head. Okay, now our goal here, we're already beginning to twist the back. Our goal here is just to release. Relax into it. Make sure that you're not fighting it anywhere. And then the left arm comes out, and we're going to bring it up and back. Okay, back to center. And then we'll use the hands and arms to help us lift up. And now we'll take it to the other side. Okay, left hand flips up. It's going to slide through here so that we can come down to the left shoulder and the left side of the head. Take a moment to settle in, and then the right arm comes up and back. Okay, that's good. Let's come back to center. Okay, the next pose is child's pose. So we're going to step the knees and feet together. So knees and feet are touching, and then our first step is to sit back towards the heels. Allow the lower body to compress. So we switch off the knees and the legs and the hips. Just settle, okay? And then we're going to bring our upper body forward so that our forehead or our chin or the side of the head touches down. You can also make a pillow with your hands and arms so that your head comes down to the floor. But one of the reasons this pose is so valuable is because once we get it set up, once we're in position here, it takes zero muscular effort. There's nothing that we have to do actively, physically, muscularly to hold this pose. Once we come down and the head is resting against the floor or resting against the arms, we can focus on switching everything off. So scan the bodies closely from the crown of the head, the neck, make sure all the muscles in the neck and the shoulders are switched off, the armpits, the upper back, and the upper chest. Check in with the abs and the lower back and the hip, pelvic muscles. Make sure all those are released all the way down to those. Fully relaxed. I apologize, very unprofessional, but my laptop is about to run out of battery power, so I'm going to grab the right back. No problem, we're right back in the game. So, our next pose is high kneeling. So, we're going to be on the knees. So, here's regular kneeling. High kneeling is here. Okay. Sometimes this can be a little tough with the knees on the floor, so feel free to double up your mat or pad the knee somehow so that this contact is not so strong. Okay, now this is a front body opening pose. So what we're going to do is to take the hands to the back, fingertips pointing down, and then step the knees and the feet together. Now we're going to start here with the front of the hips. Lean forward with the front of the hips, and then lift from the hips to the ribs. Pick up, and then lean back into the hands. Look up, keep breathing. Okay, back to center. And then we're going to take the right foot and step it forward. Okay? Right foot comes forward. And usually the first place we stop is at 90 degrees with the knee about. But what we want to do is to come forward a little bit. Bring the foot forward so that this angle is a little bigger than 90 degrees. Okay? Now we want to keep the upper body nice and tall. You can bring your hands to the knee here, and we're just going to sink forward. Okay? Here's where we want to sink. Release the muscles through the hips so that we're sinking straight down to the floor. Make sure you keep breathing. Okay, now we're going to use the hands on the knee here for leverage, and we're going to twist to the right. Take the upper body to the right. Okay, back to center, and then we're going to lean forward so that we touch down with the right knee, and then we're going to bring the hands to the floor. Okay, now nice and slow, start to sit back towards your left foot. So the front toes, the right toes are going to pop up. Keep sitting down towards the left heel and fold out over the right leg. Take your time. Use your hands and arms to hold you up. Okay, that's good. Let's come back upright. And then we're going to step back with the right knee, step forward with the left foot, and we'll come back upright. So same thing here. Usually our foot is right below the knee. We're going to take that forward a little bit so that we open up this angle, a little more than 90 degrees. And then hands to the knee to stabilize. Our crown of the head continues to point up to the sky, and we're just going to sink forward into the hips. Okay, we use that to stabilize, and we're going to twist to the left, take the shoulder left. Notice where in the back that you feel the pose the most strongly, and then inflate it. Breathe into that. Okay, back to center. And then we're going to bring the upper body to contact the knee, hands to the floor to stabilize, and nice and smooth. Sit for the right foot, the left toes pop up, turn it into a forward fold. Okay, back upright. And then back to tabletop pose. Now, our left knee is going to stay home, but we're going to tilt or swing the left foot out to the side a little bit. Okay? Left hand is our support here. We're going to straighten the right leg, open the hips to the right so that our right foot can stay on the floor, and then we're going to open the shoulders to the right side and reach up with right arm. Okay? Make any sort of changes that feels safe. And then we're going to lead with the hips. Lean forward with the hips. At the same time, lean back with the right shoulder. Keep breathing. Back to center. This time, back to center. This time, our right foot moves out to side. That's our kickstand. We're going to straighten the left leg, open the hips so we can keep that left foot on the floor, and then reach up with the left arm. Okay. Once this feels stable, lean forward with the front of the hips, lean back with the right shoulder. Keep breathing. Okay, back to center. And then let's have a seat in easy pose. And that's just whatever way is most comfortable for you. Either legs crossed or kneeling is fine as well. And let's talk for just a moment about so that it's stable and we can sustain it, but it is not using extra energy and it's not going to make us sore and tired. So what I would like for you to concentrate on is first the abdomen. So if you lean back a little bit behind 90 degrees, notice that this has to work very hard. Like sit up, the abs are holding you up here. Now come forward so that you're angled just a little bit forward in front of the legs, and that tension can release. So bring your attention to the table and switch all of these muscles off. Everything from the ribs to the hips. Make sure that the belly can relax. And then imagine a line from the belly button straight through to the lower back. That's right here. And what we want to do is to activate that by pressing forward. And again, that's using the muscles on the back to steer the big vertebra in the lower spine right up underneath our center of gravity, right underneath the center of mass. So once your lower vertebrae are in place, all of this can release. The whole upper body can relax because we don't have to use this to hold our posture. With a little bit of activation with the lower back, now the shoulders can relax, and the front of the throat, across the collarbones, the facial muscles, the back of the neck can relax. Close your eyes, breathe here for a moment, with the only thing active being muscles in the lower back, holding the lower spine forward. Okay, now from easy pose, we're going to turn it into hard pose. It's not really called hard pose. It's called staff pose. So we're just taking both legs out straight. And we're the same experiment. Lean back a little. And you take your hands here and feel how much the abs have to work. We have to tighten up to hold ourselves up with the abs. Now come back up. And angle forward over the legs just a little bit. Release the belly. Let all of these muscles relax. Find that line from the navel through to the lower back and activate. Press forward. Okay? Concentrate on just holding the lower back forward and let all of this release across the chest, the throat, the neck, the face. Breathe here for a moment, with the focus on that activation of the lower back, gently holding the lower back forward. Okay, awesome. Let's take that back to easy pose. So just sit comfortably. We're getting close to the time for our meditation. So sit comfortably. We're going to sit still for 5 minutes at the end of class. So sit in a way that you know you can sit comfortably. If you know that sitting on the floor will not be comfortable no matter what you do, then sit in a chair. Sitting on the floor is not necessary for meditation. We already happen to be here from our yoga practice, right? So if the choice is between sitting in a chair, there's nothing to be gained from sitting on the floor, okay? So let's do more forward fold to make some space in the hips and the back. So with your legs in the place that they're going to be for our easy pose, for our comfortable seat, bring your hands to the floor in front of you, and we're going to start to walk it forward. We're using hands and arms to support the upper body. We're lengthening guitar through the crown of the head. And then same thing here. Our last step is to release. Let the upper body sink. Relax. Okay, from here, let's keep our eyes closed and gently sit upright. Keeping our eyes closed helps us to stay inward, helps us to stay with us of touch, and helps our focus to stay inside the body and inside the mind, as opposed to outward, where the eyes are focusing and our eyes are taking in information from the outside world. So as we move through this series, I'll be here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. So I'll get a chance to deal with a whole bunch of different yoga poses, yoga asanas, and a whole bunch of different meditation techniques. What we're going to do today is to count breath. So let's close our mouths and breathe through the nose for just a moment. And what I want you to do is to notice where you feel the breeze, the actual air coming in and out of the body. Notice where you feel that movement of air, inside the nostrils, around the rim of the nostrils, or the upper lip. Take a few breaths and notice where that feeling of air movement is the clearest, is the strongest. Of the breath on count. The inhale is 1, the exhale is 2, the inhale is 3, the exhale is 4, and we'll count all the way up to 10, and then start over again. Inhale is 1, exhale is 2, etc. So we count 1 up to 10, then we start with 1. Just like anyone else who is apt to meditate, our minds will go lots of different places. We'll think about dinner. We'll think about our pets. We'll think about our performance in this new way of practicing live on the internet. These thoughts aren't wrong. That's not a mistake when your mind slips away from the breath and you find yourself thinking. That's an opportunity to practice. The practice is one of returning, not of holding our attention on the breath. We will do that, but with an open hand. We're not forcing ourselves. We're not bearing down. We're focusing on the air. We're counting the breath. We know that our mind will wander. And when you find that you're thinking of something else, be clear about what you're thinking about. A lot of yoga teachers say that there's 2 reasons we meditate. One is for calm, and the other is for insight. By sitting still and closing our eyes and focusing on our breath, we will become calm. We'll be still, our body and our mind will settle. The insight comes from learning all those places that our mind goes. We learn our patterns. We learn where our attention goes when we're sort of idle. Okay? Every time the attention goes away, one more chance for us to bring it back and count the breath. And we'll take 5 minutes here. Okay, let's start to move just the toes and fingers at first, because when we get still and we point our attention inward and we get used to it, the more that we're graceful and slow and intentional about moving around, moving our body and moving our attention back to the outside world, the more we make that transition smooth and gentle, the more we keep the feel and the peace and light that we have gathered up for ourselves through our practice. We just want to warm the body up nice and slow. When you're ready, let the eyelids float open at first, just a little bit, so you can barely see a little bit of light, and then let your eyelids open up all the way. And thank you so much for joining me on this first digital journey. I'll see you next week. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.